Alright guys, welcome back to the basics. Today we're going to be painting a NightWalker and everything else. So let's get started. I'm excited and Happy New Year!
Okay, so NightWalker. This is a miniature that I bought like a long time ago, and I just haven't had time to paint it. I haven't had time to paint as much miniatures as I wanted to, but this year I'm going to try to at least paint at least a couple of miniatures that I wanted to. I keep on buying them, of course, and I don't know why, but hey, I mean, I'm just continuing on buying them, but yet I'm not painting them, so I'm kind of upset about that. So, but everything else, so, yes, for this NightWalker, if you guys don't know what a NightWalker is, it is a type of a nightshade sentient undead monster from the plane of the shadow. It was unnatural and malice, that it took delight of corruption of suffering of others. It was a creature of both death and shadows, and enormous power over darkness. So essentially, they're really tall creatures that just be like, I guess you would say the size of, what do you call it, Siren Man? Was it Siren Man? Or is it Siren Head? I think it's called Siren Head. Or Slender Man, whatever. It's just a tall, dark shadow monster. Today we're just going to kind of start off with some black paint on it. I really have this recommendation for this black paint. It is a crafts paint. Well, it says crafts paint, but it's Anita's crafts paint. And there's a specific bottle that has Rust-Oleum in it, and then the one with the Rust-Oleum in it, it kind of covers the basis of what everything else is into it, and everything else. I think it covers pretty well. I poured a lot of paint thinking I was going to need a lot, but I always forget that the Rust-Oleum style paint, you only need a little bit. You can water it down as well. It's not really a thicker paint, but it is kind of a little bit more on the thicker side of paint. But it covers your miniatures pretty well. The bottle was only about almost about $6, and it's a pretty big size bottle as well, so it's not too terrible. But yes. There's a quick question too. Before I even try to attempt most of this stuff, I always try to do planning phases. I try to do planning phases a lot. People say plan your, miniature out with the paint. Planning phases, you can plan and plan and plan, but things change over time. But obviously these NightWalkers are pretty plain and simple. They're kind of bluish, blackish, like a dark navy color, depending on what, I mean, you can paint it whatever color you want. I mean, it could be hot pink and it will be still terrifying. But I just went with as the basics, just to look at to see what they are. I'm covering mine all in black. Like I said, there you'll see a part where I don't cover the base in black because I'm like, oh, maybe I'll change the base to this. I eventually just cover in black, so obviously to save you guys some time, yes, spoiler alert, it does become black and everything else, but yeah, covering selves in this whole area of base paint and everything. We're just gonna get that all covered up now. Alright, here we are. I did not show the part where I mixed the paint, but I got these new paints called the Pro Acrylic. But it's a pretty good paint. I guess they're new in the market, but they're pretty. Their reputation so far, like, really makes it pretty nice. I just barely mixed the turquoise and the black together. I wanted to have like a mixture of both, where it's kind of just like, you know how when you mix oil and water together, I really wanted to have that kind of effect on there. They had like some sort of shadow plane where he was kind of like absorbing into it, and so definitely the Pro Acrylic paint is pretty good too as well. I should recommend it. Worth the bad thing is it's like $5 per bottle, and they're pretty small bottles. They're about 22 millimeters worth of bottles, and for $5 it's kind of sad. But they're really good paints, and I like them a lot. As a man who tries not to spend as much money on paints, these are some pretty top-notch paints that I've painted with, and they flow pretty well. You can really thin them out, and they can really work really well. I mean, for that Anita's acrylic black Rust-Oleum paint, I only bought it for $5, $6 tops. I think mine I bought for $5 before it moved up to $6. And it lasted me for a while, and yeah. As you can see, I added a little bit more turquoise into it. I wanted to have more of a highlight within the blue, so and here is right here. I wanted to paint the horns a lighter color, but obviously, like I said, you can plan all you want. I had a Pro acrylic for ivory and a burnt umber, and again, like I said, you can plan, but at the planning stage, things change. I was so confident about this, and I was like, alright, it's gonna look cool, you know, it's just gonna look, you know, I wanted to have that peacock effect, you know, where it just peacocks, you know, but yeah, I did not like it whatsoever. I don't know why I continued on with it. I think it's just the way it looked. I was like, okay, yeah, I can get down on this, but yeah, it was just not. I was not feeling it. Oh yeah, I forgot. I wanted some blue highlights with it, so yeah, I don't know. I was just like so confident with this. I think I eventually did switch with more of a darker blue. Sorry, it's like really early in the morning that I woke up, but yeah. But I wanted to have like a mixture of like the blue and the white, you know. Like I said, wanted him to peacock. I don't know, I guess the way that it looked, it made me want to make it look like from Pan's Labyrinth. You know, the fawn in that. Or the Pan. Is it the Pan or is it a fawn? I think it's a Pan. I think there's a difference, I think. That movie was pretty good. Pan's Labyrinth. But what I was saying, I was like, this creature could be something from like Guillermo del Toro's like arsenal of monsters, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is. So, what am I doing here? Oh yeah, this is where I was making the switch. Essentially darkening up the tips of the horns, the tips. Cause like I said, it wasn't. I don't know. It looked good at first, but then like I mean, I did settle on like a darker blue instead of like a straight up like ivory white. So I'm like, they still stuck out. I mean, if you wanted to make like something of like an easier creature monster, you know, you can easily, you know, I mean, you can always have like something for any type of monster. Obviously, I wanted to paint the hooves on it. This is why I need a planning phase for my planning phase. I think I should just start buying 2 miniatures, paint it the way I want to paint it, and if I hate it, change it up, and then paint the original what I want to paint for you, color blue. Obviously these NightWalkers do have kind of like a shade of like somewhat blue and bluish tint to it, at least. So I'm doing some dry brushing. I do like dry brushing, and he has the body of a dry brusher, and it just, oh man, it just sticks out. It just, you know, makes everything pop out of the whole miniature, at least. You know, it's just crazy. It's just, I just like it a lot. You know, it just pops out from the veins, you know, from the muscles. You know, it just, I don't know. I think dry brushing and you know, washing is probably my favorite thing in the world. I don't know, it's just so simple and elegant. It's just so easy, super easy, and it's just like, wow, why is it so easy? And it just like, you can just turn any miniature that you were struggling with, and it just fills in the gaps for you, and it just, you know, it just makes it so elegant. Oh man, it's just, I don't know, I'm just impressed about how dry brushing looks, and like, and just how It's just how it just creates, you know, things that seem out of the norm and everything else, you know. I mean, it's just, I don't know, I'm just astonished by it. I'm just adding a little bit more of a dry brushing. I did add a little bit more of a glob of paint, you know, onto this. There are some certain spots that I noticed that I do miss, but I just went over it with black paint. Obviously this is a darker creature, so obviously black paint is going to be an easy filler, so whatever doesn't dry and whatever does dry, it just oh man, it just looks so good. I didn't think how it would come out on camera, but it turned out pretty well. Luckily I had that white ivory paint because I made a lot for it. I decided to paint the face to at least lighten up the face color. You need to at least have some sort of a negative and a positive space. You know, if you just make something really, like, even if it's a black creature, or anything of a shadow type, if you notice in cartoons, to accent the, you know, to more shadows, they also use a lighter gray or a white or anything. You know, it's just kind of like, you know, showing off, you know, the whole, like, I don't know, like, if you want to make something mysterious. Here, I got the idea. I was like, I had some epoxy. I was like, I might as well make something. It looked like I was going to try to attempt to have some epoxy and some of the epoxy rise up. But it's just like some 5-minute epoxy, $5 at Walmart. I like it a lot, but I feel like either I stirred it up too much or it was really old, because I had this for like 2 years, and that's like 2-year epoxy. You'll see what happens. I mean, I'm kind of like sad about the whole process that I had to waste 2 epoxies. Only thought I just gonna waste at least 1. Me on struggle mode, trying to work out the rest of my super glue. Hey, if I can just use as much super glue out of that 1 bottle that I can instead of just trying to open up a new one, I would. But definitely, man. So that 5-minute epoxy, I just let it sit there for a minute, and everything else. So, but yeah, this is my attempt to you know, I was gonna try to make, like, I don't know, some sort of, since it's like from the shadow film, you know, I was gonna try to make like something like, you know, like Black Iker rising up, you know, how it shows the opposite of, you know, like falling and stuff, and everything else. So I don't know, it was just, I think I missed my steps. You can easily execute this with like hot glue, I know that for sure, but I don't know, it's rare that I work with epoxy. I use it for other projects and stuff. I was seeing, like I said, I was experimenting, maybe water will kind of like help it, you know, make it dry, dry faster, I don't know. But my attempt to I don't know, like, make it stick faster, I don't know. It was just, I don't know. Epoxy is really weird about how this whole situation is, and about how everything sets and dries, you know, even though I was letting it set and dry for as much as possible. The epoxy just sat there, and like there was a point in time where the epoxy would like legit, for most of the, like, the newest epoxy that I'd gotten, it was getting to a point where it was kind of getting like hard, but it wasn't getting hard enough, and where it was still pliable. Like, as you can see here, this is where it gets to the stage of like, okay, it's pliable, but then it just got to, you know, where it was just where I don't know, I guess I was just mixing it too much, and you know, it just stayed out, and as you can see, it got stuck right there and stuff like that. You know, with working with epoxy, you know, you gotta really move fast, and you gotta like move, you know, I don't know, certain spots, because like the epoxy on the ground that I had, I can sit on the ground, but on the epoxy that I put on the base, it was still wet, and it was like a small amount. I think it's because I probably whipped too much air into it, and it just turned into a giant hot cube of mess. And yeah, and it was not fun whatsoever. I was like, no. And it was tough because, like, I don't know, it's just $5 wasted right there. That's just that's the end of $5 right there. That's gone. That's right. It's done. It's over. I mean, if I could find another use for those, maybe. But, you know, as a crafter, it's just kind of like, dang, you know, waste of money. Like, this is a hobby where you, like, should at least, like, have other things and stuff. So, alright, and don't worry, I tried a second attempt, and it does the exact same thing. It is a 2-year-old epoxy as well. You can definitely see my second attempt. It does go a little bit better, but, I don't know, it's just too much, I say, too much, and everything else, so, as well as that. Obviously, my second attempt was unsuccessful. I don't know. I try to loop everything around. I don't know. I try not to waste everything, but obviously it just kind of... Oh, man, it was... I don't know. It was a mess. It was a big mess. I always wear gloves. I recommend wearing gloves for most of the stuff, because the stuff does get in your hands, and it does make your hands feel gritty and everything else. And, man, it just kind of... It sucks. But eventually I decided to use more of a thicker glue this time, but slowly dripping it away. But I don't know, maybe a hot glue gun would be a little bit better than this. But eventually I decided to paint it with green. I just thought it would pop out a little bit more. Definitely it was just something more, I don't know. I wanted to be a little bit different, but maybe if I have something else different, then maybe I'll just change it up. But I really enjoyed this painting video. Hope you guys did too. Hope you guys can like, comment, and subscribe. But you know, for my final thoughts for this, I mean, I really enjoyed it, and I really hope to get back into it. So, yes.